Well, thank you for watching Radicards.com. And today in this episode, we're going to be interviewing Josh Newman, who runs the YouTube account Iska Fan. And really happy to have him. He's got a very popular channel. He talks about vintage baseball cards, and he has agreed to muscle through an interview with me. So thank you, Josh.
Hey, you bet. Thanks for the opportunity.
Of course. I'm so excited about this. Are you scared or nervous about this interview?
Not at all. No fear.
Okay. I have to ask you, how did you discover Radicards?
I was from another YouTuber friend of mine, Minnesota Nice 10, and he sent me a text one time to check out this guy's channel. He seemed very knowledgeable, he said, about you, so I did, and the rest is history.
Excellent. Josh, tell me, now, as baseball card collectors, we started at some point in our lives. So, I have to ask you, at what age did you start getting into baseball card collecting?
Man, it was 7 years old. This would have been 1982. And my dad would go down to a local bar called The Pub on Friday nights. And I'd go across the street to the convenience store called Come and Go. He'd give me some money for some packs, and they had 82 Donruss. And I still have my Cal Ripken Jr. rookie that I pulled out of one of those packs.
I love it.
And that's how it pretty much started. And then he had a buddy that was the head of the food service at the local college, and he could order boxes of Fleer. So he ordered boxes of 82 Fleer and 83 Fleer, and we would go over there and put the sets together, and I'd get a partial set for doing the collation. And that's how it all started. He also had a buddy that had a case of 81 Donruss, one of the big actual cases, the 24-box cases. And so I got a set of that I still have, that we would collate. And they were into home brewing, so they would brew beer and talk about home brew, and we would set up the collation table. And that's how it all started for me.
I have one memory of 81 Donruss, and it's going to a garage sale and picking up George Brett from 81 Donruss.
Cool.
For a very, very small amount of money. And I remember being so excited about getting this George Brett card from that set and thinking of how old and vintage it looked.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a terrible looking set. Lots of autofocus shots and really bad pictures. And yeah, it's really terrible looking, but it started Donruss.
It's so great. It's so great. I think I want to say it's Keith Olbermann. He took photos for 81 Donruss. Don't quote me on that, though. That's just, I feel like I've heard that.
That kind of rings a bell. I've watched Keith's video about the T206 Wagner, And Keith had a really rare T206 card, the Doyle variation. There's only about 8 in existence. And he had bought one, SGC graded it. It turned out to be fake, and SGC paid him $17,000 for it. They had to buy it back.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so even SGC makes mistakes on tobacco cards. Yeah. But Olbermann's big into the hobby, definitely, regardless.
Yeah, he's great. He's got an incredible collection from what I hear. What do you like about collecting baseball cards, Josh?
I'm really into the history and the printing processes probably more than a lot of people. Just like the historical aspect of it, the technology involved in the different issues of cards. I'm probably less of a baseball fan than a lot of guys that collect, as far as like sitting down and watching an entire game all the time, I've always been into the all-time greats. And I've always had a pretty good knowledge of the original Hall of Famers and stuff like that. And I really like the different looks of the different sets. And let's say like this 52 Bowman. I mean, it really screams 1950s Americana. And like the 30s, the Gaudi sets from the 30s and stuff. They really show how America was coming out of the Depression and how. For a penny or whatever, you could have this incredible color card.
Like in the early 50s when Bowman was in the market for that short time before Topps acquired them, their cards were of various dimensions for a number of years before everything became 2.5 by 3.5 in 1957 was the first year where it became standardized.
Yep.
And then Bowman did a hiccup again in 1989, and then that was the end of that.
Right.
So yeah, I can really appreciate that piece of it. Do you collect any specific player?
I collect Eddie Plank for pre-war, and Eddie Plank is one of the greatest pitchers. He's a Hall of Famer, a great pitcher, a great left-handed pitcher. He still holds a bunch of records for left-handed pitching, but he's also got the famous T206 card.
Yeah.
So he'd always be popular with collectors. I bought a card collector's kit, I suppose, when I was like 11 or 12 years old that had like a little binder and some reprint cards, and it had a reprint Eddie Plank in there, which I still have. And I think I was really drawn to him in that image. I don't have his T206 card. I have his E95, which is a Cardinal card, and it has the same image as the T206 card.
Right. Wow.
So that, his T206 is pretty much out of my reach, but you can get the caramel variation. So I collect him. I collect Glenn Davis because I collected him when I was a kid. I have a card of every Hall of Famer. I think I'm like 30-some cards away.
Every Hall of Famer?
Yep. And so that's gotten me to get a lot of different sets. I was trying to get as many sets as possible with that. Some of those guys you're not going to get in their playing days, of course, but I'm trying to get a lot of them in their playing days when I can. I also collect Harmon Killebrew. My grandpa was a big Harmon Killebrew fan. I'm from Minneapolis.
It's the 65.
Autographed. It's autographed with a ballpoint pen. Not the best, but
love it.
Still pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the 87 Minnesota Twins. That was their championship year, so I collect any 87 Minnesota Twin. This is one that I got at a game in 87. This autographed mini bat. I suppose you can't see the autographs, but it's got Kent Herbeck, Frank Viola, and Jeff Reardon, and Tim Laudner on there. So they were all, I waited after the game. I went to half a dozen or so games in 87, and I got that. So anything related to the 87 Minnesota Twins I collect also.
So, speaking of Harmon Killebrew, the MLB logo with the batting stance.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Some people think that maybe they took Harmon Killebrew's batting stance as the
Right.
silhouette for that icon.
Right.
I'm not sure if there's fact behind that, but that's just what I've heard around the campfire.
It could be. I mean, it's pretty much undisputed that Jerry West is on the NBA one, but yeah, there's some dispute over whether Harmon is on the MLB one. Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's fun. Yeah, I have to kind of touch on this. I know we've sort of talked about this already, but what draws you to vintage cards? I know that you share a lot of really interesting, fascinating, very almost rarities that I've never seen before on your YouTube channel. What draws you to acquire vintage cards?
Well, like I said, I don't really follow baseball that closely, nowadays, and I've always just really been into the Hall of Famers, and my dad's got a really good knowledge of the Hall of Famers. Also, with the T206 set, it's interesting with the different backs that are available. Carolina Brights is my rarest one. And that's a pretty rare one. I've got 11 of the 14 different backs. And the ones that are still left are pretty hard to get. I don't think I'll be getting those. But, just back again to like the printing process and the technology involved, I think is what always drew me towards the vintage cards. Yeah, I put together the team set, the Minneapolis Millers team set. And that was 8 players, and I got 7 different backs for that. And I got one from the Lionel Carter collection, a famous collection that I've talked about.
Isn't that incredible?
It's pretty nice to do a team set. I'm into the backs, And like this is one of my favorite cards because it's a horizontal card, which is kind of rare.
Yeah.
And it's also a Hindu back. It's pretty rare. It's the remnants of a Hindu back. It's been removed from the scrapbook, but Hindu would be probably like number 5 in rarity. Carolina Brights would be number 4, I believe. And then it's Lennox, Use It, and Drum are the really rare ones, and Broadleaf also.
Wow. What's the rarest back that you have?
That Carolina Brights.
Really?
Yep.
Most of mine are Piedmont and Sweet Caporal.
Yep, those are the 2 most popular. Probably over half in existence are Piedmont right now.
Yeah.
Sweet Caporal will be the second one, yep.
Now, do you get additional copies if you find another back of a card you already have?
I haven't, but I wouldn't put it past me. There's been some Minneapolis Millers players that I might pick up in just different back. Because Piedmonts, you can get the higher grade,
I think it's great, yeah. I think it's fantastic. It's such a beautiful set. All the different colors and the backgrounds and the paintings.
Oh, it's incredible. And so this would be a Hall of Famer, and this is also from Lionel Carter Collection, Hall of Famer Rube Waddell. I know he's got like maybe 3 cards. He's got a throwing one. This is a pose. It's pretty nice. It's got a Sweet Caporal back.
Really clean example.
It's really clean. And it's funny that SGC graded it authentic. Lionel Carter collected these. They weren't worth anything, so I doubt that he would have trimmed it. I would almost think it's a factory miscut. I think that SGC does grade ones that are factory miscuts as authentic, because I doubt he would have trimmed it. I mean, why would he have trimmed it,
Right.
So that's a neat one. Speaking of the T206 Wagner and not owning that, of course, none of us can have that, but I do have that. That's the Colgan's Chips.
What year is that? Oh, 9 to 11? Wow.
Yeah, it's a 1909, 1911. It's the same portrait. It came in a product called Colgan's Chips, which was actually a bubble gum, a disc of bubble gum.
Now, is that a rare piece? I want to say yes because I've never seen it, and I feel like I've seen everything, but I
Oh,
obviously haven't.
yeah, I mean, it's pretty rare. It's not super valuable, although they've gone up. I've had two of them. I had one that was trimmed, and I upgraded to this one. It's just incredible to have that image in your collection. It's the same era. I mean, it's unmistakable image there.
It really is something. What was your first baseball card?
Yeah, probably one of those 82 Donruss that I would get in packs.
Yeah.
Yeah, go across the street and then go back to the bar and bust them with my dad and his friends, I guess. I don't know. I was 7 years old. I hardly remember it. Rather than if I went to kept the cards, I probably wouldn't remember doing that.
Isn't that fun? I have similar memories with my mom taking me to the mall and going to the card shop, buying packs in 1994, and then her and I would go out to lunch, and then I'd be opening packs as we're waiting for our food to arrive, and I just remember those being really cherished memories.
Right, yeah. Back when every mall had a card shop, I've had this for probably 25, 30 years, a 68 Mantle.
Oh yeah.
It's back when every mall, had a card shop. I was waiting on a plane and just go to the mall and there it was. It's crazy to think of that. You don't see that anymore.
I kind of miss those days in a lot of ways. It was fun to go to any strip mall even and see like a little card shop in the little
Exactly.
nook in the corner.
Exactly.
What do you think is the most challenging thing about collecting vintage cards besides the financing of it?
I say just finding them. Just finding them. Like this is a 1910 Eddie Plank. It's a standard caramel card. And that's a really rare card. And I mean, condition, one, but pretty much all the ones that you see for sale are going to be low grade. Although I still would say condition is probably the hardest thing with vintage cards, but I'm not concerned about it too much. I can't be concerned about it because
Right.
if I were to have like even one of these Eddie Plank cards in like a 3 or a 4, that's the money that I had spent on all these would have gone into one if it was just a 3,
Right, that's another reason why I'm collecting little super low grade T206s because anything even graded, even a 1, is going to be much more valuable than a non-graded hammered copy.
Yep.
In a way too, and I'm not sure how you feel about this, but sometimes when they're in bad shape, it gives it more character, more talking points, more dialogue around it, more story, more background.
Yep, absolutely. Totally agree with that. Yeah, I mean, look at the corner wear on this, and I think it's kind of cool, just the corner wear, because it's so even. It's like you couldn't replicate that. You couldn't duplicate that if you tried. It's 100 years of corner wear is all that is. That's the only way you're going to get corner wear that looks like that.
That's so fun. I love it.
And that's American Caramel. That's one of the more common caramel cards. But speaking of condition about caramel cards, when you think of it, well, caramel cards are less common than T206s. They're worth less, but they're also less common. And when you think of it, the original owner of all these caramel cards was children. The tobacco cards, at least you had to be at least, 12, 13 or whatever to be smoking back then. But the caramel cards are probably pretty young kids, which is why it's pretty hard to find caramel cards in good shape. This is another Eddie Plank. It has the T206 pose, and it's more of an action shot done with it.
Oh, I love the collars on those old outfits.
Carl Horner was the photographer that took all the pictures for the T206 set.
Really?
And they were taken around 1900, and he was out on the East Coast, and all those portraits, like the Wagner and that Waddell that I showed, and the Eddie Plank, and all the T206 portraits were taken by Carl Horner. And the original photos, and they were painted from those original photographs around 1909 when they started the set. And nobody's smiling because you had to sit and wait for your photo. It was a big thing with the flash pot and having the cover and all that, so nobody's really smiling in those T206 pictures.
How do you catalog your progress? Do you keep a checklist in Excel or Google Sheets or something else like a Word doc? Or
For my Hall of Famers, I just had a Word document. And that's the one I really need a checklist for. Like for my Eddie Plank, I only have around maybe 80 cards. And only 4 cards in his playing days. There's not that many. Mm-hmm. So something like him, I wouldn't have to catalog. Glenn Davis, if I get more serious about it, I suppose I could start cataloging him. And then I just have my cards in like the monster boxes. Like, one of these monster boxes with these would be like SGC graded cards. This is my 52 Bowman set, but there's like maybe 47 cards that are SGC graded. And then I'm only 10 cards away from the set right now, so I guess off the topic of cataloging, but what I'm trying to do with 52 Bowman is get like a lot of SGC graded cards and a lot of kind of oddball or one-of-one cards. This is from the Rothman collection. That's a famous collection. It's Red Shane Beast. He's a Hall of Famer. And I'm going for condition like a 4, and that's like a 4, and that's what I'm trying to do with the 52 Bowman. And then I've got some autographed cards. Got Robin Roberts.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, doing SGC, certified autos, and that's Bob Lemon, who's another Hall of Famer. And this one I catalog. I just actually have this high-tech system right here for cataloging my progress. 52 Bowman there.
I love it.
I do have the 2 big cards already, though.
Oh, the Mantle, yeah.
And that one, that's a funny story. I got it on eBay at PSA 1, and it was from Canada. And I hadn't gotten the card, and it was tracked to the Foreign Mail Center in New Jersey. And 45 days later, I still hadn't gotten it. So on the same day, it was 45 days, on the same day, he refunded my money in the morning, and it arrived that afternoon in the mail. 45 days later, the day I got the refund.
I imagine you paid him back, right?
Yes.
That's great.
And this is the other key card to be the high number Willie Mays, Willie Mays' second year.
What draws you more to this set than the 51 Bowman?
It was probably easier to do because of the Mantle and the Mays, and the 51 Bowman are both so hard. So like the 51 Mantle Bowman I'd like to have someday. I got the 52, the 53, and the 55 Bowman Mantles.
Oh, there's the, which one is that? Bowman color from 50, is that 53?
53, yeah.
Yeah.
And the 55, this is actually grades of 3, that's probably the best graded one I have.
I love it. So what draws you to SGC over other grading companies?
I like it because they're like the tobacco card, experts. They're regarded as more of the pre-war experts. I like the way the tobacco cards look in the holders, also. And so probably the main reason is tobacco card, they're experts. The way the cards look. And then the third reason would be is that they don't require any membership or anything. You can just send in one card if you want.
Yeah, they're one of the big 3. I know that they're one of the top 3 most popular.
Yeah.
I often wonder what it would take to start another grading company and build a reputation around it. I'm not sure if it's even possible, but I feel like the person that founded GAI used to work for PSA.
PSA. It's about 45 minutes away down the road here. And I've never been there. I could go there and bring cards to them to have them just do it. But yeah, GAI. Yeah, he tried it. He worked for PSA and he tried it. I don't know if it worked out. And they had to change their name to Global, but they're still kind of known as GAI.
You PC Eddie Plank. Why Eddie Plank?
I was always drawn to that reprint that I got in that set. That little collector's kit when I was a kid. And like I said, I still have that. Also, I just started looking at his other issues when I knew his T206 wasn't attainable for me. I looked at other issues that he had around the time when I really liked him, and I was into the Carmel cards. He's in a lot of the Carmel issues. And then, as far as like way down in priority, there's also the idea that he's always going to be popular. His cards are always going to be valuable because of his T206 card. His Cracker Jack one would be really cool, but now that's almost getting out of reach for me. It's funny, it's kind of a hot card right now, meaning that there's been one on eBay about every week. It's a 1914 or a 1915 Cracker Jack card.
Do you know any other collectors of Eddie Plank or Glenn Davis?
I don't think there's got to be out there, because I don't know. I think the guys that buy the Plank cards might be set collectors. I don't know. I've never been contacted on YouTube or anything by anybody that would collect them. And the Glenn Davis cards, I doubt if there's anybody. I don't know.
I know Eddie Plank because of the same reason you know Eddie Plank, because I too once had a reprint set of the whatever's really hot in the early 90s, and in the back it would say this actual card's actually worth whatever. Yeah,
I've got that one. I've got all 3 variations actually. I've got 3 different values on them. I've got all 3, so. I talked to a guy at a flea market that had a T206 Plank. I just talked to him a few weeks ago. And he was buying cards as a dealer, like in the late 80s, and somebody had some T206 cards, and he bought them all. They're like, oh, well, we have some we have one more that's a rare one. He called him a couple of weeks later. And he's like, I'd like to show it to you. And it was a T206 plank. Yeah, he had it for a while and sold it.
My understanding as to why that card is so rare is because the printing plate broke early in manufacturing.
Yep, it could be rarer than the Wagner. I don't know, it's weird. So there's supposed to be about 50 Wagners, and there's supposed to be about 75 planks. Now, I've seen a Wagner. I've never seen a plank. I've talked to two other guys that have seen a Wagner, never seen a plank. Both of these guys believe that the plank is more rare. I don't know, it's weird.
You also have the Joe Doyle card in that set.
Yeah, that was the Keith Olbermann one that SGC graded a fake.
Oh, really?
There's only about 5 of those. There's an idea that all those are fakes. It's only been discovered since the 80s, for one thing. And that there's also been, there's one that's been graded by PSA that's been a fake. But also that's a rare card in general because there was a guy that was buying all of them, a major dealer that was buying all of those in the 80s. Like buying all the Doyle cards, looking for that variation. Wow. There's an idea that he still has a lot of those. But yeah, I don't know. They could all be fakes. Because, they hadn't been discovered for 80 years. So that's kind of odd, right? I don't know. I read a lot of stuff about that card. That's a weird card.
I'd only recently became aware of that card, I think, in 2010. And I had never even known that card existed.
It says
the
national,
variation with the NATO.
New York National, yeah. It says national. It'd be the national variation.
If you look at it from rarity standpoint, it would be the rarest among the big 4 in that set.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If
it's even more rare than the Ty Cobb back. Yeah, the Ty Cobb back might not even be. I don't really consider it part of the set. I don't know. It came in a tin, and the front and the back are both glossy. So I don't even know if I'd consider that. But it's the red portrait, and it says the King of the Smoking Tobacco Ty Cobb. The tin's worth about $100,000, in itself. I think that's what he sold it for.
Really?
Yeah.
Just the tin alone?
Yeah, because it was the only one that came in a tin, which is why I really don't consider it as part of the T206 set. And because the back is glossy also, that no other.
Is it the first traded Tiffany set? I know what the tins look like. I've seen the tins, not in person, of course. Or at least not
bad. It looks kind of like Prince Albert tin or something, It's got
right.
Ty Cobb.
And I've seen really good reprints of the Ty Cobb back cards.
Right.
Those are really fantastically rare cards to find.
Yep, I think that'd be the number 16 in the back, so otherwise it'd be 15. I say 15. Until I have a Ty Cobb back, I'll say there's 15 backs.
Oh, right, yes, definitely, absolutely.
I guess those who have that card would consider it part of the set. But.
Oh, absolutely. What are some of your favorites? If you were to say, top 3 big things that stand out in your collection, which items come to mind?
Well, it's got to be that Wagner Colgan's Chips card.
That's a big one, yeah.
And the Eddie Plank, the E95 Eddie Plank. And then probably that Carolina Brights would probably be, I don't know, I like the 52 Bowman Mantle. I'm also really into minor league cards. When I pick up cheap minor league boxes and stuff when I bust stuff. It's kind of a cool minor league card. Not a lot of people.
Oh, I love that card.
Yeah, you've probably seen it, but yeah, not a lot of people have it. I also collect anything related to Iowa. I've lived in Iowa for, since I was 5 years old. So anything related to the state of Iowa. So I collect Bob Feller's from Iowa. So that's a, 52 Topps reprint, maybe Topps Archives with the signature, with the auto.
Isn't that a great set?
Yeah, it's really great, really nice. He's recently passed away in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
This would combine Iowa and minor leagues, but this is the Cedar Rapids Reds. It's a terrible picture. It's Eric Davis.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, and the stadium is maybe 20 minutes away from me. When Ben was in town, we went to a game, and we met Jose Canseco. He was on the tour, the home run derby tour, and he signed autographs. Well, that's my nearest ballpark. It's a single A. Actually, Mike Trout played there. They used to be Angels organization. Mike Trout played there for a while.
Really?
And now they're twins. They used to be the Reds. And this is actually a pretty rare card, the Cedar Rapids McDonald's issue. And I'd gotten it, and I sent it into SGC. But, anything related to Iowa, I'll collect. So, he played in Iowa. Bob Feller's from Iowa. There's 4 Hall of Famers that were born in Iowa.
Do you seek out certain cards, or do you kind of serendipitously find things that you like and acquire them?
I try to stay pretty focused.
Okay.
I think that helps a lot. You get a sense of accomplishment. But if I see stuff, I'll pick it up. Here's one related to Iowa. Actually, Iowa City, the Iowa Hawkeyes was B.J. Armstrong. I don't know if you at all would follow the Jordan championship teams, but B.J. Armstrong was the sixth man on those championship teams.
I love it.
Yeah, he played for Iowa. So that's the Hawkeyes are here in Iowa City. So I do go to a fair amount of basketball games.
Do you keep a checklist of things that you're after?
I don't. In my mind, I guess I keep it.
Okay.
Aside like from my Bowman set and my Hall of Fame set, that's the only checklists I have, yep.
Do you have a focus in your collecting strategy? And if so, what is it? So within Plank, what do you collect? Within Glenn Davis, what do you collect?
Oh, I see. Well, Glenn Davis is just with the Astros, just his early stuff.
Okay.
85 to 91. Eddie Blankett's so limited, I've just got those 4 caramel cards, and that's about all of the caramel cards he has. He's got maybe 1 or 2 more. And then I got all of his modern cards pretty much, there's maybe like 60 cards that have come out in modern of him. So yeah, it's pretty limited with Plank what you can branch out into, so.
Do you use binders with a lot of the like lower end stuff, or how do you?
Yeah, I have like. Yeah, my 51 top set is in a binder. That's got a wrapper on the front.
Yeah.
And then.
I love it. That's so fantastic.
And actually, almost as hard as finding these cards was these pages. And these are like, they're specially made for these, and they're side load pages that fit the 51 tops. Or they don't make them anymore, obviously.
Wow.
I just have the red back set. I don't have the blue back set. This has got Monty Irvin and everything, and Bob Feller, Yogi Berra.
Mm-hmm.
So that I got in a binder. When I got back into collecting, like in around 2007, I took all of my cards out of binders and put them in like penny sleeves and top loaders. I got like some tobacco, like mini, tobacco pages for some of like the mini cards.
Oh yeah, those are cool.
Yeah, like Golden Age, Panini Golden Age, I think those are.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my only binders. I don't really do the binders, just the 660 card count boxes. And then those monster boxes for the cards that are in top loaders or anything else, graded cards.
Now, do you feel that decision allows you to store cards more easily, or what draws you more to the boxes, that kind of storage?
I guess so. I guess I was just wanting to start new, and I thought, when I was younger, I had them in binders, so I wanted to start something different. Maybe I thought about getting a binder. What was I gonna do? Maybe put just some little sets, like some of those Fleer box sets or something. I'd put them maybe in a binder.
So with me, and I'm right there with you, is that I'm a collector of some 90s sets, like parallel sets, and I like the concept of flipping through and seeing my progress, seeing an open hole and being like, oh, which card is that? Okay, got to find that card, and I can fill that hole. With sets, it's really nice to see the progress in a binder. I've always found that that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was trying to find 52, the Bowman pages, and I don't have enough. I should try to look for them again. They don't make them anymore. For the 52 Bowman, the pages, but I have enough pages for maybe like 2/3 of the set. So maybe I'll try harder to find those pages, and then I would have all my SGC graded cards and then a binder with the remainder cards. And then I thought of getting a reprint set, and then all of my SGC graded cards, I would stick the reprint in the binder. We'll see, but it's hard to find those pages, like I said. They don't make them. They haven't made them for probably 20 years.
A lot of us collectors feel that maybe there are some cards that we've been trying to track down for a long time, and we've had a difficult time doing so, and they've just become this like elusive. They keep eluding us collectors, and for me, there are a number of them. But can you think of 1 or 2 cards that you maybe feel fall into this elusive category that you outside of the 206 that might be obviously rare and
like those, valuable? Yeah. Not really. I suppose if there's probably some Eddie Plank stuff that I don't even know exists, so there's those. But as far as ones that I know exists and can't find, there's not really for me.
Do you collect anyone else? And if so, or anything else? And who, what, and why?
Oh, so I collect like toy European cars. I'm in kind of the European sports car hobby. I guess I've driven MGs for 12 years. In the process of acquiring a Porsche, 66 Porsche, so I'm starting to collect some Porsche memorabilia. But I collected a lot of MG memorabilia. They're little British cars. And maybe some albums, vinyl records. Got a little collection.
Really?
I need to get some bags for them, some sleeves. I don't. I need to sleeve them up. I'm just reminded of that the other day.
Do you play the vinyls too, or is it more just collecting?
Yeah, I play them. I got an old Onkyo turntable. Pretty nice old turntable. I don't really collect coins. I guess there's a chance to show, but I got a little Harmon Killebrew, those Topps coins.
Yeah.
And PSA would grade some of those, so I got a few of those baseball coins. I don't really collect silver or anything like that, but pretty closely related to cards. But
if you weren't collecting vintage baseball cards, what would you be collecting and why?
Geez, I'd probably be more into the cars and the automotive memorabilia, I think. I collect a little bit of that, but yeah, the old Matchbox cars, old European toy cars.
Micro Machines? Any Micro Machines in there?
No, nothing that new. That'd be like the '88 Donruss of the toy car hobby, probably.
Right. What years do you collect up to? I notice you're not really a modern guy, so the question is, why don't you really collect any modern? And what year kind of stops your collecting?
That's funny. There's a pretty big gap. So like, the 82, 83, and then 87 Topps was I bought the most packs, and 88 Donruss I really hit that hard. And 89, and then 1990 Topps I really stopped with that. I didn't really care for the design. So there was a pretty big gap between 1990 and 2007 where I was like nothing. But I kept my vintage cards, and I kept all of my 80s cards. And then what got me back into it was I got out that 68 Mantle, and I had a 61 Fleer Bob Gibson and a 62 Topps Roger Maris. And I figured I wanted to get them out and put them all in a nice holder and display them, and that's what got me back into it. Not much of a modern stuff. And even back then, I wasn't watching a lot of baseball. I would learn about the good players from my price guides, and I subscribed to Baseball Cards magazine. So it was like I would see what the rookie cards were worth and stuff in there, and that's how I knew what the good cards were. I wasn't really doing a lot of prospecting or watching a ton of games besides when I would go to the Metrodome and watch the Twins play.
I know. I like you, like certain manufacturing defects with certain cards. Like I saw you recently showcased 76 Topps off-centered cards.
The miscuts, yeah.
Yeah.
So here's something. So this is like 87 Topps Barry Larkin. That's got a Canseco back.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And then here's the Canseco. That's got a half a Canseco and a Dave Schmidt back.
Isn't that great?
And it's funny that these aren't worth anything. It's like stamp collectors, they put a lot of value on miscut, and like the upside down, the inverted Jenny. Yeah. They put such a value on that, but then the miscut cards aren't worth anything. It's funny.
Maybe I really like that stuff a lot, though. Those like really hugely obscure miscuts and things. I buy those when I see them for certain players that I like to collect too, just because.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I got that T206 miscut back. That's really good. That's in one of my list videos. I got that when I was out in California, but it's half Piedmont, about 2/3 Piedmont.
I think it's great. Speaking of 206, have you ever seen a 206 card signed by the player?
Yeah, I've seen them for sale, yeah.
Really?
Yep.
It's so rare.
But you never know. I don't know if there's any authenticated. I don't know. But I got not a T206, but a 1950 Bowman. That's a Roy Campanella that signed with a rubber stamp, like after his car accident. I doubt he would be signing it, maybe like a secretary. They had a rubber stamp autograph.
That's incredible.
But yeah, those T206 autographs, yeah, they're out there. I'm not sure if many are authenticated, but...
Josh, do you have any future plans for your collection? And if so, what are they? Some people in this capacity talk about a website they want to build to showcase their collection or creating a better system of organizing.
Right.
What are some of your future plans, if you have any?
I don't know. With the YouTube, I've kind of reached my goal there. I had to set out first to get like 500 subscribers and still remain like underground, kind of like, I don't mind the other like the major guys on YouTube, but I don't try to interact with those guys just to get followers. And I try to always do my main thing, and I've never tried to ask for followers on my channel or anything like that. And I've accomplished that, 500 subscribers, while still remaining underground and true to what I want to do, and not on anybody's coattails, So I've accomplished that. I guess it's not really your question, but the set, I think when I finish the 52 one, I might do the 55 and try to do a little better grade. Everybody's got 55, and when I'm at card shows or anywhere, when I ask dealers, they don't have any 52s, but they all got 55s. So I would do that. I don't know, other goals for collecting. The YouTube is great. I'm happy with it.
It is great.
Meet more collectors, I suppose. which I've met some from YouTube as a result of YouTube. But yeah, website. I don't know. Yeah, maybe get a blog. Maybe the Twitter is kind of like my blog. I post on Twitter a lot. It's funny. I wish I'd get more action on there because I think it's good stuff that I post, and I post regularly, but nobody really pays too much attention to it. But that's fine. Maybe someday they will. So maybe more Twitter followers would be nice.
Yeah, it takes time to build up these things. Want to say your favorite part of the interview?
Boy, good questions. I liked it. I liked reminiscing about starting collecting. It was good. It was good to reminisce about the start of it. That was my favorite part.
Excellent, excellent. Do you have any final thoughts to share?
No, keep collecting. I like what you're doing. It's great.
Awesome.
It's great.
Thank you so much, Josh, for this opportunity. For you watchers out there, it's Iska Fan on YouTube. That's Josh Newman's YouTube channel, so go check it out. Subscribe, follow him, check him out on Twitter as well. Have a great one. Take care and enjoy collecting.
Thanks. You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.